Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Alex-Deacon's Property Management Series. We're kind of going with I don't want to say the B show, but with the newer show that we're doing. Alex, how are we doing today, sir?
Doing great, Adam. How are you, buddy?
Good. Listen, it's been a couple weeks. We've been busy here at Deacon Hoover, which is a very, very good thing. A lot of moves going on. We haven't spoken since the last meetup. A very, very excellent meetup that we had a couple weeks ago.
It was a good one. We had a good turnout, close to 40 people.
Probably talk about that maybe in a later podcast.
Yeah, we got one upcoming too. Maybe we can throw that in there also at the end.
So I think one thing, I know, Alex, what you said, you wanted to dip back into the property management side of things today. That's why we did the lead-in with the property management series. But today what we're going to talk about, and this is why we named it this way, we're going to let you know what property management isn't. And we kind of worded it that way to kind of get your eyes, kind of grab you, because we wanted it to sound brash. We wanted it to sound very standoffish, because that's not what this means at all. This is just going to be very informative to let you know what property management isn't. Basically, I mean, it's just very informative. That's all. And
we're going to talk about the limitations of what a property manager can do.
There you go.
Because that's a common misconception that I have to answer repeatedly. So again, I just do these podcasts so folks can listen to this first. Because if there's a disconnect and you have an expectation that is not reachable, as far as I can't convey that kind of service to you, then I'm going to turn you down as a client. Because my saying is, I'd rather turn you down than let you down. So we turn down a lot more clients than we take on. The client has to be the right client. Their expectations have to be in line with reality, and their property has to be a decent property. It can't be really in really poor condition, and they don't want to spend money to fix it up and make it safe and habitable.
Right.
We can't help.
Right.
We can't help.
There's not even a way to meet in the middle on that one, really. Yeah.
So I just like to be honest with people. And what prompted me to think about this was I was just about to do a long drawn out email to a new client about what we do and what we don't do. And I probably spent a half hour typing this email. I sent it to my wife and one of our property managers to look over. Because I do that. I tend to send emails, I think a lot of people do, and then I hit send, and I'm like, damn, I probably shouldn't have sent that. So I sent it out to them to have them review it. They said it was fine. Then I slept on it, and I'm like, you know what? The best thing here would be to have a conversation with the client.
Right.
Right. So that's what I'm going to do. They're out of state, and we're going to have they're coming in town, so maybe we'll be able to meet, or we'll have a video conference thing, or just a conference call in general. But yeah, you can't explain what we do and what we don't do in an email.
And I feel like it's a little more personable too. I mean, we're starting to live in an era where everyone's looking at screens so much we're not connecting like we used to.
Yeah,
and I think we need to get back to that.
There's just only so many hours in the day, man.
Right? I know.
And if I have to continually ask and answer, or basically answer these questions, it's so time consuming. So I'm trying to make it easier for our potential clients, not only to find out what we do here at MACE Property Management, or what we do here at Deacon Hoover Real Estate Advisors, but what to expect from other management companies too. Because there's not a whole lot of difference in services provided by management companies. The difference is how efficiently they provide those services. How good are they at providing management? And that's really the only difference. There might be some small nuances. So if, we do offer this service versus this service, or the way we work, repair call versus an emergency repair call might be a little different than what another management company does. But more or less, the same services are provided. It's just a matter of who's the right management company for you, and are they being honest and upfront, and are they going to provide the best service possible for your asset and for your expectations. Okay? So that's what prompted this. I was writing this email. I ended up not sending it, and we're going to have a conversation. But
anytime anybody asks you about it, you can just send them a link to this and say, here, listen to this. It explains everything.
This is kind of what we don't do.
Right.
And these folks, they live out of state. We have a lot of clients that have their properties that are not local. They live out of state. Some of them live out of the country. and they need a management company. It's just virtually impossible to do without someone on the boots on the ground here. So these folks live out of state, and their expectations though are just way out of whack. And I'll give you a couple examples. They bought the property and saw it a couple times at a home inspection. Home inspector did a whole bunch of lists of what maybe should be done to the property over the next 5 or 10 years. This particular client wants to do some changes in the parking and in the basement, and maybe add some storage, and redo a couple apartments. Understandably, they want to add value,
right?
So that's what a property manager can do. They can help you add value, but planning all this out is not something a management company is going to do. It's not going to happen. I just don't see it happening. I have 30 years of experience, so I can help you map it out and plan it out. But that's not what we get paid to do at the management company. That's almost like if you want to do consulting. If Alex wanted to do real estate investment consulting, then I'd open up a consulting business and I would
like
charge.
An advisor, if you will.
Yeah. Well, okay. Deacon Hoover Real Estate Advisors, got it. Good one. So you see what I'm saying is it's just not what most property management companies do. Right. They don't have that. And I mean, maybe I should start an advisor, part of MACE, and here's how much it is per hour, and this is what I can help you do.
Right.
We don't do that.
It's not feasible.
So a lot of times what I'll do is I will explain or I will compare myself to an owner client, because I myself am a client of MACE. All of my properties are managed by MACE, not by me. I don't even know who my tenants are. I couldn't even look up a tenant phone number because I can't even use our accounting software. I swear to God, I can't. I'm really dumb when it comes to that. But I rely on my staff to manage the properties. They don't make the crucial decisions. They don't map out how I want the kitchen laid out on the rehab. They don't talk to 2 or 3 different contractors and find out what's the best type of heating we should do here, because we're going to split up the utility in this building. So what should we do? Should we go with electric heat? Should we go with a heat pump? Should we go with gas, boiler heat, forced air? What's the difference? How much is it going to cost? How intrusive is it going to be to put a forced air unit in here now that it has electric heat? There's just so many different questions. We don't manage a construction zone. We can't do that. You're asking one of my property managers who may not have a lot of experience in construction and flipping homes, but they have a lot of experience in property management. Finding tenants, taking care of tenants, holding their hand, fixing leaky toilets, sending them out on an emergency call, doing all the accounting, handling evictions, dealing with borough situations where the grass is high, and you name it, man. We deal with hundreds and hundreds of different scenarios. What we don't do, and what most management companies will not do efficiently, they'll say they'll do it, but they don't do it, is they're not going to map out your investment and make it the best investment possible. Like, they're not going to show you. The example was what these clients that are coming in to talk to me. They wanted to segregate the basement, a 3-unit building. They want to put storage in the basement. Here's some questions that you would never think about. Okay, where do you want the storage? How about that?
Right.
Where do you want it? How big do you want it? What do you want it made out of? Do you want it made out of pressure-treated lumber because it's a damp basement? Do you want mold-resistant drywall? Do you want plywood? Okay. Do you want just not plywood, just like chicken wire, but you can see inside, but you can't get inside? And if we put the units in the basement, do you want them to have their own laundry in those units? Or is the laundry just going to be one central location? Does it even have laundry in the basement? We can't put the units in front of an electrical panel or the main water line or a gas meter. So there are so many different questions that I just came up with like 4 or 5 or 6, and we're talking about an 8x8 storage area.
It's just too large of a project for you to take on, really.
Yeah, anyway. Like we're going to literally make about $180 a month to manage this 3-unit. I can't possibly add my 30 years experience in with that $180 a month. Nobody can.
Right.
Okay? But that's just one small piece of the puzzle here, that you're buying a 3 unit and you live out of the country, but you got to have this stuff in order. You're in charge of this, not us. You're in charge of knowing where you want those units, how you want them mapped. I just gave you 6 different scenarios. I mean, that's just storage units. That has nothing to do with anything else.
Right.
And then they want to talk to me about, parking in the back. There's a 2-car garage and there's an off-street parking pad. Do we segregate the garage and make it a 2-car segregated garage? Yes, we can do that, but you ask yourself this question. Is it big enough? How big is it? We put a wall down the center. That means you're going to have to potentially add 2 garage doors instead of 1. Is the electric separate in that garage? Is each unit going to have its own electric? Because if it doesn't, who's paying the electric for that garage?
Right.
Are you just going to eliminate the electric from the garage? You have to have it segregated. You can't have the first floor paying for the power on both sides if the second floor is going to use part of the garage. If they find out about it, or Duquesne Light finds out about it, then it's going to be an issue. Is it even feasible to add parking to the left side of the garage, or as you're looking at the garage to the right side? Is it big enough? How big of a car could you get in there? It might be 10 foot wide, but you feasibly pull a car in there realistically without hitting the fence or dinging your car door every time you pull in and out. That's just a garage.
Right.
Okay? And then the home inspection right here in front of me, and I'm not naming who this is because these folks are really nice people. I mean, they're good people. They bought property here. They just their expectations of what a management company does are not realistic.
Right.
Not because they're jerks.
They're
it's just
uninformed.
because they don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But this is a home inspection. I got a report from them, and it's 40 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 pages of it's got lifting shingles here. It's got a disconnected downspout. It's got gutters that are plugged up. The water doesn't run away from the house. The screen door's kind of broke. I mean, there's just pages and pages of this. We don't get paid as a management company to go through a 40-page home inspection.
Right. Yeah.
You have to, as an owner of this asset, just like I do. Okay. I don't just give the home inspection and hand it to my property manager and say, hey, get all this stuff done. No, man, you have to map it out. What do you want done? Over how many years do you want it done? Do you have a budget?
What comes first?
What's prioritizing?
Yes.
Exactly. Let's prioritize these things. Yeah, man, you have to be... Here's probably the biggest misconception is property management erases all of what you need to do as an owner. It doesn't. It does not really relinquish that at all. As a matter of fact, you might even have to work a little bit harder at first until you get your property manager in line with your expectations. And you have to map this stuff out. You have to have a plan of where to go and what to do first and what to do second, and your budget. And okay, so yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit.
No, I think that should definitely help out. And it makes a lot of sense too, because there's only so much time, money, and effort you can pour into something before you're underwater with it again.
Yeah, and I just want to empathize with all of my clients, and that's why we turn down more clients than we take on. Because if I can't be on the same page as you, I'd rather have some other management company screw it up. Right. That's what's going to happen, and then eventually you may call us, and hopefully maybe we can fix it. I don't know.
And there's probably not a lot of people out there that think that way too, because they go for the.
Well, I used to. Yeah, I used to look at the numbers. They go, okay, if we get 1,000 units, we're going to make X amount of dollars. I'm going to make this, and I can buy all this stuff for myself. That's how I looked at it. You can't look at it that way. You have to look at it from a management company owner. Can I provide the proper service to this client? If I can, yes, I'm going to take them on as a client. We're going to provide the proper service. We're going to get referrals from that client. They're going to write rating reviews about us, and then eventually the money will take care of itself. Eventually I'll make more money.
Right.
And, I have to pay my people well and you got to provide a good service. You got to pay your staff well, and you got to hire good people. Otherwise, you're not going to stay in business a long time.
Right. You need a good support team. We always talk about it. Teamwork, building your team, and it always comes back to that, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're buying real estate or building a business.
So what else do we have with this? What else does property management? What else do we not do? It makes property management.
What do we not do? Here's another thing that we don't do. I mean, we can do it. In fact, we do step in, but there's only so much we can do. When we take on accounts from other management companies, like a lot of times we'll take on an account from a management company that's just doing an absolutely horrible job. So the owner calls us and says, hey, can you fix this? Sure, we can fix it. Okay, handle it. But we can't.
Right.
No. That's not how it works. You have to call that management company. You have to cancel the contract. You have to make sure they have all of their leases and the keys in order. Make sure that all the tenant information is there for us. Make sure that their ledger is correct. How much does the tenant owe them? How much the security deposit is? Where's the security deposit? Who's going to get the deposit? Who's going to pick up all this stuff? When is it going to be ready? Is there an eviction going on in the process? You know, if there's an eviction going on, we can't step in and do an eviction. You'd have to either have that management company finish it, which I don't recommend, because what incentive do they have now to finish it? Or you can hire one of our attorneys to have them finish it for you. We're not going to step into an eviction and finish that eviction for you. It just doesn't make sense. We don't know what's going on. We're not getting paid to do that.
Right.
Now, if we place a tenant and the tenant's bad, then we're going to take care of the eviction, but we're not going to step into a complete bucket of mess and fix it for you. It doesn't happen. I think what it means is this whole session is you, the owner, have to be more involved. If you're too involved, that's bad because you're micromanaging, and I'm telling you, nobody likes that. Nobody. Not just my company, not just me. Nobody likes it because you're telling them how to do their job. Okay? If they deserve to be micromanaged, then I understand.
Right.
But you can only do that for so long, and then it just implodes.
Right.
So you can't micromanage, but you also can't be never reachable. We have owners that are never reachable. We have owners we have fired, and they have yet to pick up their keys, their security deposit, their leases for months. That's how out of touch they are with their properties.
Wow.
That's like the total opposite. You can't micromanage, but you can't be totally off.
Right.
Where you never know what's going on, and maybe you don't do every year or so come in and inspect your properties. Maybe at least drive by them or do something like that.
Right. I think this is something too that over time you'll probably learn that sweet spot in between, micromanaging and not doing anything. Because in a way it sounds like on one end of the spectrum it's like, you know what, I'm going to take this to my property management company. They're going to do it all themselves. And on the other end of it, it's like, you know what, I'm going to micromanage so much that I'm going to get in my property management company's way. We need to find out that happy balance and everyone's happy balance is probably going to be different, I would imagine, right, Alex? Or
it is, yeah, absolutely. Because some owners, they want to be somewhat hands-on, like myself. Okay, let's go back to me. How do I want to be? I don't. It depends on the topic. Sometimes I don't want to know. Just handle it.
Right.
It needs a hot water tank, and okay, I got a call over the weekend or late last week. We need a furnace, and it's going to be $5,000. I'm like, what? $5,000? Why is it so much? Well, it's an electric heat pump, and it's everything, all encompassed. And I don't have any property that has an electric. It's the only one I have.
Of course, yeah.
So we had two estimates. One was 7 and one was 5. I'm like, okay,
wow.
Yeah, just get it done. What am I going to do?
Wow, yeah.
Some owners will just, whoa, we got to get another estimate. We got to get a fourth estimate. We don't know. No. We're going to get you 1, maybe 2 estimates. That's it, man.
Right.
That's it. These are good quality HVAC guys.
Right.
That are going to give us a good price and do a good job. If you want us to get 5 different estimates and we pick one estimate out of those 5, what are the chances of us ever getting those other 4 guys to do any work for us? Because you're constantly beating them up on price. We got them down to where the price is very fair because we give them a high volume of business. If you treat your contractors like dirt and you're going to get dirt service. That's where a lot of times we get the micromanaging. Well, I can have a window installed here for $250. Dude, I get it. You can go buy a window at Home Depot for $120 and have your handyman install for $120. But can that handyman install 30 windows for you?
Right.
Is he just some guy that's retired and does this on the side, has no insurance?
Right.
How long is it going to take to get that window installed?
Right.
You know, what's the warranty on the window? It's never ending.
And plus, you know, it always goes back to utilizing your toolbox and having, like, again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but, you know, having your team built and utilizing the tools that are in that team, because you always have one or two in your back pocket, like that you can always go to, that, you know, reliable, quality, and it's going to be fair for both parties. You know, it might not be the least expensive, but at the same time, we don't always want least expensive because you're not getting good quality. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's important, like you said, to always have that one or two people that you know that you can constantly go to, so you're not shopping around.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you don't have the time to shop around. In this case, my furnace went. Now it's very hot right now, so their AC doesn't work. The furnace and AC is all one. It's a heat pump. So I can't. There's only so much time I have.
Right.
These tenants are getting. Here's what I did. I micromanaged. Okay, this is what I did to my property manager. I said, look, man, why don't we just give these guys a couple AC units and we'll install like a regular electric furnace, you know, because I'm being cheap.
Right.
Alex is being cheap.
Right.
Okay. And he's like, man, it's probably not a good idea. And I'm, you know, after hindsight, I'm thinking, yeah, that's not a good idea. It's just being a really jerk, cheap landlord. And the owners or the tenants were like, man, no, we don't want that. We want freaking central air. You know, that's what we rented this place for. So, you know, I could have saved myself maybe $1,000, but it's just not worth it.
In long term,
long term, it's like, oh man, forget it. I just bit the bullet because $5,000 is actually a really good price for this work.
Yeah, this is the year I finally bite the bullet and get air conditioning in my house too. My wife's going to win this year. I'm not an air conditioning guy, but it's already 90 degrees in Pittsburgh, so I think she's won this battle. Time to wave the white flag. I think this is good though, because I think a lot of people, Alex, probably have the misconception that property management and they're the be all, do all, everything, you know. And I think that's a very it's a good misconception to talk about, you know, because then I think you've laid out in a really good manner what you can do and what you can't do and why you can do it and why you can't do it. You know, I mean, you know, time is money, and like you said, there's only so many hours in a day. You can only talk to so many people. You can only do so much. So I think this is important to know. That way, if somebody says, "Hey, why can't you do this for us, Alex Deacon?"
How long have we talked about this so far?
20 minutes. We're 22 minutes, good sir.
Okay. Because I mean, I could go on every different scenario, but the point being, I think, if we summarize it, is what a property management company does. We collect rents. We do all your full accounting. We try to minimize your risk, you know, your liability. We get rid of bad tenants quickly. We screen good tenants versus bad tenants before we put them in. We handle repair calls. You know, small minor repairs, we're handling it, but you know, you're not paying anything extra for that. That's included in your management fee. At the end of the year, you have a full accounting of what the property did or what your portfolio did, and we can get that to your accountant. It's very simple. I mean, that's probably it. That's what we do. What we don't do is, like, if it's a major insurance issue, you know, flooding, fire, whatever. I mean, you have to somewhat step in and get someone involved there,
right?
Okay, to help us out. Any major legal issues, for instance, if a tenant sues us or say it's like we don't collect the rent and the tenant like loses in court, but then appeals the hearing. We don't handle the appeal. We have an attorney come in and handle that because they can appeal the appeal, and then they can go to even a higher court, and it gets crazy. It
keeps going and going.
Yeah. We can't handle helping your portfolio. We can't like map it out like we talked about. Like, oh, I want to change these 3 units into 2 units, and I want to eliminate a kitchen, and I want to redesign the whole apartment. And I want to put off-street parking on. I want to separate the utilities. I want to get all the permits to do this. I want to get 3 estimates from contractors. Nobody will do that. Right. That's something you're going to need to be involved with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So there's limits, and we can't. And what we can't do is take garbage from another management company and fix it in a month.
Right.
Like, we do it all the time, and I tell people, or clients, this is going to take 3 to 6 months, or this can take, if it's 27 units and they're all wreck, This is going to take 6 months to a year. And we're not going to make any money in the first 6 months. It's going to be very minimal because all we're doing is cleaning up garbage. So we don't have to charge you more the first 6 months. And then once we get everything rented, we can reduce our management fee to where it should be because the mess is cleaned up. But there's only so much of that mess we can clean up.
Gotcha. Now, when people want to use MACE Property Management, where do they find them online? How do they get a hold of you?
Okay, go to pittsburghpropertymanagement.com or macepgh.com. How to get a hold of me is alex@alex-deacon.com. That's ALEX at alex-deacon, DEACON.com.
There you go. And then, let's see, you could also find him on Twitter at alex-deacon712. Look for him on Facebook. It's Alex Deacon Real Estate, almost retail, geez, I'm going back into my old days. Real Estate Investment Workshops. That's where you want to go and sign up for all of his meetups if you're in the Pittsburgh area and stuff like that. But back to the property management stuff. MACE Property Management, pittsburghpropertymanagement.com. Alex, anything else you want to kind of put a finalized little cherry on top of what we have today?
No, again, I really hope this is helpful. So you know what to expect from our company or from any company. And I think how to choose the right management company, that's probably the one we're going to do next, is how to choose the right management company for you.
So stay tuned. This is the cliffhanger.
So stay tuned. This is part 2 is coming up.
This is the Sly Stallone cliffhanger, right? Because he was in Cliffhanger, I believe, right?
Yes.
Stallone. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're referencing Sylvester Stallone. That means that we need to end this broadcast. So, for Alex, for myself, for everyone at MACE Property Management, we thank you so much for listening to this edition of Alex Deacon's Property Management Series, and we will see you next time.